Milwaukee County, like other parts of the country, has an affordable housing crisis. But here in Milwaukee County, the county is partnering with suburban communities to provide support that helps more people find housing they can afford, often in the communities where they work. Let's learn more from Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley. Thanks so much for being with us.
Always a pleasure to be on Connect MKE. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Tell us why it's important for affordable housing to be located throughout Milwaukee County.
Well, it's extremely important. I think that affordable housing in general, is one of the most critical building blocks for individuals all across our county, across this state, and across the country. And so over the past few years, we have been working to continue to build bridges throughout the community, support our neighbors during times of need, and make sure that we're really delivering for them. But affordable housing is not just needed in urban centers. We need them everywhere. Suburban communities, rural communities, you name it. We need to make sure that we're providing the opportunity for people to have affordable rents or be able to move into a beautiful home that they can buy, especially for first-time homeowners. And so this is an opportunity, one, to revitalize neighborhoods, provide more opportunities for families across Milwaukee County, and continue to invest in the economic development and the vitality of municipalities all across Milwaukee.
Affordable housing is defined as people spending no more than 30% of their income on housing. But one statistic really struck me, and that is that nearly half of all renters pay more than 30% of their income for housing. What kind of impact does that have on communities when people are spending so much money on housing?
Well, when you're spending so much money on housing, it's that much more difficult to focus on all the other issues that you may be tackling at the exact same time. I mean, right now, it's not just the housing costs that we see on a rise. We're seeing a rise in costs at the gas pump, a rise in costs with utilities, groceries are going up. You name it. No matter if you are making more money, you are getting less because things have become that more expensive. And if you're spending 30% on your home, that means that you have to cut a lot of other things out of your life. And this may mean foregoing prescription drugs like many of our seniors have been doing because they have to choose whether or not they're going to have a roof over their head or whether they're going to have access to the drugs that they need to help keep them alive and keep them moving. And people shouldn't have to choose between housing and utilities or housing and groceries. And so this is putting an entire strain on many individuals, on many families. And it doesn't just affect those who are at the head of a household. Let's be very clear about that. This also affects children and their ability to learn while they're in the school system. And so this can have a reverberating effect across the entire community. And so when we have the ability to help lower those costs, which we're going to continue to fight for communities here in Milwaukee County and across this state, it's extremely important that people can at least afford their own home because, again, it is one of the most critical building blocks for individuals and families.
Your administration has put a lot of effort and focus on housing. It's sometimes been challenging to work with suburban communities to get that affordable housing built. What has changed?
Well, I think that the narrative has really changed, right? And because of the rising costs, people are wondering, when their children are coming back home from college, how can they move back into the neighborhood? How can they go back to the same communities that helped them to grow up and become who they are? And it's become very difficult. And so as we've been having these conversations, and especially with the fact that municipalities can only grow their revenues based off of net new construction, everybody is looking at how can we create more density? How can we bring more people into these communities? But prior to our administration, there was a not in my backyard conversation. And I understand, why that has been going on, because for so many years, people have been pushing back against affordable housing. But what we have done is very unique, right? There isn't a one size fits all solution. And so it's about one, going into communities and understanding not just what they want, but what are their needs? What are the issues that they're trying to tackle at the end of the day? And so we have been able to tailor many of these projects about the specific needs of these communities in order to get them built. We have invested over $50 million since I've been elected in affordable housing. Right now, we're finishing up 100 brand new homes near the King Park neighborhood. We're soon going to be breaking ground on building the first ever affordable housing subdivision in the city of Oak Creek. and not only in partnership with the municipality, but also in partnership with the school districts where those young people will actually be helping to build those homes. And so we're thinking outside the box and getting really creative about how we can bring these projects online. But we know that there's more work for us to do, but that requires collaboration. It requires partnership. And that's why we continue to partner not just with local municipalities, but with our state and federal partners as well to bring as many resources as possible to leverage everything that we have access to.
You're also being very strategic in who the housing is designed to support. So there is housing that is for everyday folks. You've got
Mhm.
some developments that really are targeted towards seniors and some for folks with disabilities. Why is that kind of strategy important?
Well, one, let's talk about people with disabilities, right? Many of them have the ability to work and are working, and many of them need more assistance. But we will need to make sure that we're wrapping around these services. And so by having them in affordable housing where they can pay their own rents, live independently, and live with dignity, it helps to move them further along, just being that independent person that they need to be. But it also helps us to keep costs down because we have the ability to wrap around different services, making sure that they get the resources that they need. When we think about seniors, right? I mean, many of them are on a fixed income after retirement, collecting their pension or whatever income that they are receiving. And so we see the rise in property taxes from the local level with many of our municipalities. And so by creating senior housing, we're not only creating an environment, a society where they can interact with people within their age, but we're also wrapping around those services and being very intentional around senior housing gives them an opportunity to move out of their homes when they decide to downsize, once they become an empty nester, which provides more opportunities for young families to actually buy their home or can become a rental income for that senior as well. So we're being very intentional in making sure that we are lowering costs across the entire spectrum, not just when it comes down to housing, but the services and the resources that we deliver here at Milwaukee County.
You just said something I think is really important for people to understand, that it's the idea of people being able to live with dignity.
Yes.
How does that play into the decisions that Milwaukee County makes about the development of affordable housing?
Well, we need to keep people at the center of all of our conversations. I mean, they're the ones who are directly impacted. And when you talk about living with dignity, living independently, that's how you become the healthiest county in the state of Wisconsin, right? Because you're giving people more opportunity to make more decisions about how they want to live their life, where they want to live as well. And so it's extremely important when we think about our seniors, when we think about young people. It doesn't matter where you are on the age range, everybody needs to be respected. Everybody deserves the opportunity to live within their society and interact with people who are just like them, but also be introduced to community members that may not exactly be look like or be like the way that individual may live. And so for me, it's really about how do we build this community? How do we build more opportunity? And that starts with dignity with individuals.
I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Oak Creek development because that is going to be the first affordable housing subdivision within Milwaukee County, with home prices ranging between $225,000 to $250,000. What does that open up for people when we're talking about not just affordable rental housing, but the opportunity for people to now own homes?
We're creating greater access to opportunity, right? And I'm really excited about what we're doing in the Oak Creek neighborhood because it's not just about keeping these homes affordable today. We're going to keep them affordable in perpetuity. So even a part of the deeds is really about making sure that these homes can continue to be starter homes so people can move into get on their feet, take care of their family, and be able to focus on their own social upward mobility and be able to buy their next home. And so, this is a great partnership, but it shows what you can do, not just here in Milwaukee County, but what you can do in Wisconsin when you get creative about the opportunities and the levels of partnerships. And so for these single family homes to be built at an affordable rate in one of our suburban communities, this really provides, greater access for many community members across the state of Wisconsin, right? Because now people can choose where they want to live. There are many municipalities, many communities that people live and work in, but can't actually live there. And so when we think about our police officers, our firefighters, our teachers, the people who are collecting our garbage and making sure that we can continue to have good public health, they need a place to live. And so this is a great opportunity, to make sure that we are ending the cycle of homelessness here in Milwaukee County, but more importantly, making sure that we break down the barriers that we have had related to segregation, right? We have lived in one of the most segregated communities for many moons, for many decades. And because of the level of affordable housing that we have pushed, which is close to about 1,000 units now, this is creating more opportunity and creating more diversity, because that is our strength and we need to play to our strength.
And you're not finished.
Oh, we're absolutely not finished, So and I would say I have to I'm glad you said that, because I have to give a great shout out to Congresswoman Gwen Moore, as well as Senator Tammy Baldwin, because of the partnership that we have with the federal government is giving us the ability not only to do the Oak Creek project, but many projects across the county.
This really is an exciting, and it's good news for people in this community who are looking for ways to find affordable housing that also gives them dignity and provides safety and security. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Coming up, school is about ready to be out for the year, and the fun is just beginning at some camps. Stay with us for more.